Yo,
What's up,
What's up,
Joe?
guys? I guess I'll take it back to when you guys were kids. Like, if you saw this when you were a kid, or when you first started acting or started dreaming, um, what would your younger version of you think of this show?
Man, you know what? I mean, it sounds so cliche, but this is literally a dream come true. I would have seen this show and I'd be like, I want to be that guy.
yeah,
um, uh, yeah. I mean, geez, I don't
yeah.
know
I
what
think,
to
I
say
think,
to
I
that, but
think, yeah. I got Jason. Probably you got 10 years on me as an actor,
yeah,
at
maybe.
least. Yeah, and we've talked about this and I was struggling for 10 years as an actor and just not getting. There weren't roles. There weren't, and I almost had no not aspirations. That my dreams were crushed because I didn't see anything getting made like this at the time. So I mean, now there's a few more shows. I think ours is arguably unique and something. But um, anyway, I think I had lost hope that at one point before Warrior happened that I'd be able to do something like this, and now that I'm able to, I'm here and doing this something like this. And I think my younger version could have probably done with a show like this because I probably wouldn't have lost hope because I did lose hope at one point, and now we're here.
I mean,
Mm.
to answer your question about what I was like when I was younger, and if I saw a show like this, I didn't see a show like this, but I saw Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee, literally, his movies, got me through my childhood. So I think that's kind of indicative of how how meaningful this show would have been to me as a kid, and I realized that in turn that's what we are to other people growing up, or people see, even if they've grown up already and they watch this show. So many Asian Americans and Asians across the world have like approached us and told us how meaningful this show is to them. You know how many times people have come up to me and said that they've bonded with their parents over this
Okay.
show? Yeah,
Okay.
I don't watch this. I don't watch any shows with my dad, but this show we bonded. I've had that at least 3 or 4 times,
Mm.
and it just goes to show that like this show,
Wait, it's press. So 300 or 400 times.
3 or 400 times.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So
Sorry,
yeah,
three off track there.
yeah,
Sorry.
okay.
It's
Um,
real. It's real.
so
What about that, Jason? Do you think these characters? First of all, the characters and actors are from all over the world. But what
yeah,
do you think about this show and these characters that communicate? Like, what stands out that communicates to audiences all over the world and different people in different places?
I think a lot of people can understand, or more people than I think a lot of modern, I guess, modern Western Hollywood is willing to show is like the struggle of being an immigrant and struggle of and the things which is and all the themes related to otherness and being different and I think there's a lot of themes that I think and being the underdog as well. I feel like Warrior is a bit
mm,
of an underdog as a
mm,
show in and of itself
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
And I think a lot of people can um, understand that because that's human. That's real. That's real. That's
Yeah.
real things, bruv.
Yeah, I
Mm.
think like with our show, I think one of the reasons why it resonates with so many people, and the reason why Bruce Lee resonated with so many people is that it's this underdog story. It's, whether and whether you're an immigrant or whatever background you have, I think we all in life sometimes feel like the underdog in our own story. How many people walk around life thinking that they're winning? Like the truth is, most of us
I've met a
don't.
few. I've met a few.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But it's life is tough for from wherever you are, right? And so to have a chip on your shoulder and to know that you have to fight, like every person has to freaking fight to survive in this day and age. And so I think it's a story that's easily people can easily connect with.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Talk to me about getting back in the rhythm for season three.
It's less of getting back into the rhythm and more using the momentum
Mhm.
and all the experience that we gathered in those between season 2 and 3.
Mm.
You know, there was the COVID pandemic, and there was all the Asian hate crimes, and then there was the different life paths that we've gone on and all the experience. And as an actor, you kind of use life into hopefully your art. So I think yeah, a lot of us, there was that concern at first, but I think it was mainly the mindset of, actually, we've got 2.5 years of experience of different things and jobs, etc., that we can now bring into and inform season 3. So I think, if anything, all of that was more fueling. It was for more fuel for season 3, and I think that's why I think there's a different energy to this one.
Yeah, those few years of the pandemic and the disappointment and the heartbreak when we got cancelled, we carried that into season 3. The way, which informed the end of season 2, when we had this massive riot in Chinatown. So in many ways, those 3 years felt like the weight of that riot, and we were able to just use that into season 3. Yeah. And
also on a technical level as well, as a performer. So sometimes when you're doing a job, it's so intense, the experience, that you don't have much time. And if you're going on to another job after that, or life, because you don't have much time to reflect and go, oh, it doesn't really settle till after the shoot, because it's such an intense experience. So I think, if anything, a bit of time, maybe 2.5 years is a bit too long, but a bit of time does help us kind of go over it. Look at Danny Day-Lewis. In between jobs, he'd go over stuff. He'd have a script for a year, go over it, all this stuff. So I think time can help a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last question: best and worst part of working with your co-star?
Best and worst.
See, it's hard because now
Andrew, what's the most annoying thing Jason does?
No, I think I really don't have anything negative. Like, honestly, I know that'd be good fodder for the. Honestly, I'm blessed. Yeah, I really feel this. Like I'm blessed by this. Now he's going to think of something funny.
I'm trying to rack my brain.
Yeah. I think this. Well, I'm going to sing Jason's praise a little bit. Is I'm so blessed to be around a bunch of actors who care and really want to do their best and bring everything they can, and can feel if something doesn't feel right, or feel something feels a bit off, or how to course correct, all that stuff. And I think Jason has been, since season 1, we want to bring it. We want to protect the integrity of the show. The different directors come and go. Different crew come and go. We have an amazing crew in South Africa, though. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
But the cast obviously stay the same. So annoying things, I don't know. I mean, probably there's a few, but I don't know. I don't like that shirt.
Well, thank you guys so much. Best of luck on season 3 and moving forward, and all the awesome things you guys are up to.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, mate.
Absolutely. What's up, guys? I'm Joe from the Nocturnal. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing wonderful. So there's a little bit of a journey between season 2 and season 3 for you guys. Why did it take so long, and who did you guys have to fight to make this happen?
Everybody. Yeah. No, it was a journey, man. There was Cinemax went away. They stopped doing original content, so we thought we were just ostensibly canceled at that point. We tried to find a new home and struck out, and I think everybody kind of went on their merry way. And then when we debuted on the Max platform, I think we started to discover a new audience, and people started to actually talk about the show in a way. And that, coupled sadly with during the COVID lockdowns, there was a big uptick in anti-Asian violence, and suddenly the themes of our show were relevant and resonant again in a way that they perhaps weren't the first time around. And so discussions started to happen, and Shannon Lee, Justin Lin, Jonathan Tropper, the creator of the show, just happened to mention to the executives at Max that it's not too late. We probably can still do a third season if there's any interest there. And they the executives, to their credit, at first were like, well, we didn't think that was possible. And we were like, yeah, we can definitely do it. And they said, okay, go with God, go for it. And yeah, all of a sudden we're building our sets again. We're remaking all of our costumes and all of our props because all of those had gone away.
Mm.
And we're picking up where we left, although it's a couple years later now.
Heck yeah, Evan, what kept you guys persistent in that season when you guys are up in the air? What kept you, pushing forward and still trying to make this happen?
I think just how much we love the show. We've worked on a lot of shows, and this one feels really special. The cast and crew who make it are incredibly dedicated to it. And I mean, you can see that by the fact that everyone came back for season 3. That's kind of a miracle. We had people quitting their jobs in Cape Town to come back and work on Warrior, even though it had been a couple of years. And I think that was the main thing, is just that we feel like this is a show that is incredibly fun and meaningful to its fans, but also has something to say. And you don't often get that combination. We get to live out our sort of childhood dream of making a martial arts show inspired by Bruce Lee, which is just an incredible gift. But then we also get to talk about the history of American oppression and racism and anti-immigrant sentiment. And that's something we feel passionately about too. And that, we can have the show that has the sort of representation it has and connects with people on a real personal level is rare. And it just feels like a gift. So we were just ecstatic when it came back.
Josh, when you were kind of building on that, when you were putting, the pieces together and everyone around you, the producers and was building this creative team to put this project together. You guys have this wonderful blend of different voices and people from different countries. What was that process like, Josh, getting this wonderful creative team together?
I mean, bringing everybody back was, I think what Evan said is true. I mean, everybody's very passionate about the show. So I think when there wasn't even an opportunity to come back and do it, it was, there's the usual, making of deals and all of those kind of things, but everybody was very eager. Everybody really, really wanted to do it. Our crew in Cape Town are some of the best, most dedicated crew members I've ever worked with. And they were excited to have us back. And, all of a sudden, all of us and our families are converging on Cape Town and the crew, and it feels like a big family reunion. And it was that kind of summer camp vibe, where we have this incredible enthusiasm and yet feel this incredible responsibility to tell this story well. And Bruce Lee is a guiding light within it all. And I just feel like there's just such a wonderful alchemy. Yes, it was challenging. Yes, it was hard to get everybody back, but also everybody really wanted it to work. So at the end of the day, it was just enthusiasm trumped logistical concerns. So
yeah, I think just to add that the Bruce Lee thing is so important, because I feel like what you feel is that he's his worldwide influence, and that's why we're able to attract people from all these diverse places to come work with us. We flew people out from Hawaii and Indonesia and, our crew in Cape Town. And it's because they all know Bruce Lee's work and it's meaningful to them. Yeah. And that's so cool. Because I grew up in like rural Washington watching his movies, and you just don't realize the global reach he has. And I think that's one reason we're able to kind of build this thing from this international perspective, because he's touched so many lives.
Evan, was there any parts of that surprised you? Because you guys have this like passionate fan base that's like it's like Christmas for them coming up for season 3. Was there certain aspects that you were not expecting that really shocked you about this fan base?
Just the enthusiasm. I can't say it shocks me, because like we think the show's good. We work our butts off to make it. But I think that it's really gratifying and exciting that people connect to it so personally. I was looking at the comments for the new trailer for season 3, and it's so rare to go in a comment section on YouTube and not see much hate. It's just people being like, this is my favorite show, I can't wait. And that's so cool. I feel like to make something that people are really enthusiastic about, passionate about, and it doesn't seem to inspire a lot of like negative debate, at least the places I'm looking. I think that's the thing that's so cool. It's just how fervent and how supportive they are, and the word of mouth that's built the show, I think is a huge part of it. The people who watch it love it, and they tell other people, you have to see this thing. And
Hmm.
that's great. That's how we're able to make more of it.
We're always going to, you know, when we look at something like this, we always, in a sense, in a positive way, kind of compare it to, like, you know, the things that we grew up loving, like the Bruce Lee movies or the action movies that we loved. But there's almost like a new opportunity in the content, in the form of what stories you're able to tell. Can you speak to that, Josh, in terms of how you are able to weave, you know, a little bit more modern cinematography and storytelling in this serious way that it wasn't necessarily a option like a few decades ago?
Yeah, I mean, as with everything in the show, tonally and in every other aspect, I mean, it's a tightrope. I mean, we're always trying to walk that line between pulp and history, between B movie excellence and you know, elevated kind of premium cable stuff. And I think to figure out where to lean into the pulp, where to strike that Bruce Lee homage, where to lean into the history. I mean, that's something that we're always messing with, and we hope we get it right. You know, and sometimes we have to gut check ourselves, you know, and we have a great team of other writers, and we've got Shannon Lee, who can help gut check us when it comes to, you know, her father's legacy and teachings. And you know, I there's just a really unique opportunity now. Just the fact that we're able to deviate from history and incorporate pulpy action and do all of these things. I just think that the fact that there's an audience for it and they're talking about it only, I think, emboldens us to keep playing with those anachronistic flourishes in a historical drama. And I think we're just going to keep pushing if they give us an opportunity to.
I love that. Evan, can you talk more about that historical part? Because there is a certain part of that you're like, you want to tell these stories that haven't really been told in this form before. Like, in terms of, you know, we don't really get to see this period of Chinese American history, but also you want to be respectful and in a way that's not too you want to be accurate but not too showy, or what's the balance that you guys wrestle through, and how did you guys find that, Evan?
Yeah, I mean, I think it came from a personal place for me, which was when I came onto the show in season 1, I didn't know any of this history, and I consider myself like a decently well-read person. And so I was like, well, wow, if I don't know this, then a lot of people don't know this. This is something like we don't talk about the Exclusion Act. We don't talk about the history of Chinese immigrants. And that's a huge opportunity, and it's a shame. And so, like, I think the historical part of it's really important to us. And that as writers, we do a lot of research and we discuss all of these things. But to your point, we're also making a pulpy, fun show. And so what we want to do is convey the history and the spirit of the thing, and the spirit of like how America was built and what we have to say about that. And then also not be beholden to it in such a way that it gets in the way of our drama, you know. And if we want to have our characters, you know, get a win in a way they wouldn't have historically, we're going to go with that or something, you know. But I think I think the burden of history and of telling the story is something we keep in mind all the time. We're always doing research and always trying to find places to weave in things people may not know about what was going on. You know, this season we talk about something called the Page Act, which was this historical act used to deport Chinese women under the guise of, you know, calling them prostitutes. And like, that's the kind of thing we put in there without necessarily hitting you on the head with it, to kind of go, this is how we do things in this country, and we still do. And that's disturbing, and you should know about it. And I just think it's such a cool opportunity to deliver that message in a fun genre show, you know. And yeah, I just think that's a really cool opportunity that's unique to Warrior.
And then we also get the catharsis inherent in you know, getting to do a roundhouse kick to a racist's head. I mean, we have the historical, you know, we have the historical foundation on which we can have that kind of you know, we can right some wrongs of history through Ah Sahm and you know, his ability to beat down anybody in his path.
Well, thank you guys so much, Josh and Evan. We're just excited for season 3, and best of luck moving forward.
Appreciate it.
Joe. Thank you
Thanks
so
for talking
much.
to us.
How are you guys doing today?
We're
Good. How are you?
good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Hoon, I guess I'll start with you. Think back to when you were a kid, or maybe when you like first started dreaming about acting. If you knew you were going to be in this show and you saw this show as a kid, what would your reaction be?
What am I doing in this show? I never wanted to be an actor.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of fell into it somewhat by accident.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Diane, what would your reaction be if you saw this show when you were maybe younger and dreaming about, where your career would go?
Oh my God. I don't like watching myself in general, so I don't think I would have seen it. But I don't know. It's just really surreal to even not even younger self, but me today thinking that I get the opportunity to play with all these amazing actors. And yeah.
Olivia, when you came back for season 3, what was like the moment? Maybe it was your first day on set, but like tell me about the moment that you're like, okay, we're back in these characters and we're back to.
It would have been the day we did our camera test. And for the camera test, they had us in Chinatown. They brought in the extras. They populated the set. They brought it to life. And I think after my first walk, like I walked down the street as Ah Toy. And after they called cut, I turned around and I was so happy to be back that I like danced down the street and I was like hugging the background artist. I was so happy to be back.
I love that. Hoon, tell me about when you read these scripts and maybe this for season 3, the first time reading whatever scripts that you had at that point. What was your reaction to kind of the story and where we kind of go in season 3?
Well, actually, for this season, I joined the writer's room. So I was in the writer's room when the story was being broken. So it was more of an evolutionary thought as the seeds of the story that we planted in the early days of the writer's room started to give way to the bigger arcs and started to realize themselves into like, oh, these are the things that are actually going to happen. You start to materialize that up on a virtual index card board. And I got most excited about thinking about how the rest of the cast was going to feel when they started to see these sort of big moves. And I remember, I think Diane in particular, I couldn't tell her anything because it was still early days, but I was just busting thinking about the stuff that her character was going to go through in the season and how challenging it would be and hopefully how rewarding it would be.
Yeah, I love to hear kind of the evolution of that because, some of the ideas that are presented at first or maybe the first drafts of the scripts are different than what we see on screen. Can you talk at all about the evolution of where that story develops?
Yeah, sure. So, for example, we can't talk about specifics too much, I think, here, but I will say that. So, for example, if you look at Atoy's character, we know that she's starting off in a certain place at the end of season 2. She's, involved with Nellie. She's thinking about is there a life outside of Chinatown? That's where we come into her at the top of season 3. And we start to understand, okay, well, the question we want to examine in this season is sort of what does it mean to hope? What does it mean to look beyond those walls? That's a way in which both Atoy and Mai Ling are running in parallel in this season because they're both extending themselves out beyond the confines of Chinatown. Mai Ling has extended herself to the duck ladies that are taking their tour of her place. Atoy is working with Nellie and looking towards a life not just for her, but for the girls that she's rescued and brought to the farm. And so I think that once we started to understand that this was the starting point, we know just for the dramatic intent, we have to put these things under fire. We have to threaten them. And the real fun of it is there are a million ways to do that. And hopefully the ways that are the most interesting are the ways that also involve other characters and entangle them into the mesh of the plot and allow everybody's complication to sort of inform every other character's complication. It's a way that we make the world cohere, and it's something we've striven to do since the beginning of the show.
Sounds like you thought through that a lot over the last few months.
There's a lot of thinking.
It's probably been years.
A lot of agonizing, a lot of gnashing of teeth. Yeah.
I love that.
Good. It was fun.
Diana, this is such unique in terms of the look and feel of the show. It just feels so, it feels unique as I'm watching as a viewer. Talk about these sets, talk about this decoration, this wardrobe. What is it like to work in this period and on these sets?
I mean, that just goes to show, the talent and craftsmanship between our costume designer Moira and Max, our our set designers. When we got effectively canceled in season 2, we've talked about this in a couple of other interviews, but they sold all the costumes off. They tore down the sets, or they sold the sets off, and they were redressed for other shows. And so coming back for season 3, everything was rebuilt from the ground up. And just like Olivia was mentioning, to be on that first day and to re-experience that, you know, the livelihood comeback of our show is really incredible. But in terms of, you know, the logistics, it's, I mean, for Atoy and Mai Ling's character, it's hours in the costume department trying on. I think this season I had something like 35 to 40 costumes in the 10 episodes. I mean, it was the most that I'd ever had to do. And it's just hours of coming in and being pinned. And luckily we do have some creative voice if something doesn't feel right to the character. Now, 3 seasons in, we do have a little bit of that urgency. But yeah, it's just a talented bunch of people, and love our show so much. And it really is like all hands on deck.
And the South African craftspeople
It's
that actually
amazing.
make the material, the props, everything.
Yeah.
Olivia, can you talk more about that? How when you guys come back, maybe some things are a little different, some things are a little, you know, especially just being able to film after lockdown and after everyone's waiting, and talk about how you know it was different in terms of beginning of season 3 to end of season 2.
I think the biggest difference for us that was really noticeable right away is we no longer had the Cape Town Film Studios as a home base. So what that meant was this was the season where we were on location a lot. It was kind of the difference between having a home that you do 80% of your work in versus packing your suitcases every 2 to 3 days to like move to a new location and, you know, set up from scratch. And it was, you know, I definitely miss being able to see everybody as easy as it was in season 1 and 2, because in season 1 and 2, we were all in the same location. So even if, you know, Diane's coming in for a fitting and I'm in stunts and Hoon's actually filming, it's easy after our, you know, predetermined things to just kind of walk around the studio to find each other, to visit each other, you know, on set, to visit each other, bump into each other in hair and makeup. So that was something that I really missed season 3. But, you know, we got through a lot of the differences and a lot of the adjustments.
Oh, no.
And yeah, you good, Di?
Yeah, sorry, my computer froze for some reason.
Okay, you're still there. We're all good. Hoon, I would love to hear about you know, we have this passionate fan base, right?
Yeah.
And I would love to give them a little a quick snippet of like what they can expect in season 3.
Well, that's tough to do. We really hate to spoil surprises, and there are a lot of surprises in this season. What I will say is this: we understood the remit coming back from such a long break, coming back to a group of people that have been waiting very patiently for us, coming back to characters that we love and a community that we feel very close to, a mission that we feel very strongly about. We knew that in order to really do service to it and to honor it, we had to make sure that everything was locked in and cranked up, in the sense that we wanted to make sure the drama was true, authentic, deeply felt. So what I hope people will come away with from the season is that we didn't look to continue what had happened. We looked to augment what had happened, and that we wanted to take the story and the drama, the character development even further than we might have had we been allowed a contiguous season 3. And we like to think we've done that, but it'll ultimately be up to our fans to decide.
And Olivia, you've been on both sides of these interviews, both as a reporter and actress. Which one is more fun?
You shouldn't have to think about this.
I know. I really thought about it. I'm like, there's things I miss about being on the other side, like meeting a bunch of cool people and, you know, researching all of that. But definitely this side. I remember one of my first junkets for Entertainment Tonight, and walking in and just seeing like the cast chairs that were still empty at that point because we were waiting for the talent to come in, and just having that thought of like, I want to be in that chair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, congratulations, you made it, and thank you all so much for a great interview. What's up? How are you guys doing today?
Hey, Joe.
Great. How are you?
Shannon, I love to start. I'm doing wonderful. I love to kind of start at the beginning of like, there's these stories and writings from Bruce Lee. Can you take me back to kind of the process of taking those stories and turning them into this series?
Sure. My father created the idea for this show for himself as a vehicle. He was having a really hard time in Hollywood in the 60s trying to find projects that he was able to do, because he didn't want to do projects that were too stereotypical in any way. And so that meant there weren't a lot of projects. So he thought that maybe the way forward was to create his own shows. And of course, as we know, he pitched the show. He was turned down. He was told he couldn't star in an American TV series. And then that treatment went into a box and sat there for 50 years until Justin Lin called me up and said, "Hey, I've always heard the story that your father created a TV show. Is that true? And do you have it?" And I was like, "Yes, here it is." And, he was really kind of amazed at how well thought through it was and well written for its time and the notes that surrounded it. And he said, "We should make this. Do you want to make this?" And I was like, "Do I want to make this? Of course I do." And, but he said we should only make it if we can really do it justice. We can do it the way we want to do it. And we can create a phenomenal world that is really a tribute and extension of your father's legacy. And I was like, it's music to my ears. And, we went on a hunt to find a creative partner to help us do that. And we found Jonathan, and we were just so thrilled by his take, his skill, his ability, his background, his joy for the project. And he really got the vision.
Jonathan, the way that the ability to create these series and in terms of like how television has evolved in the last like few decades has really changed a lot. What makes you, first of all, optimistic about that form? And then what are some of the ways that you were able to use this kind of new form of like series to start conceptualizing really what the show has become?
Well, I became a television writer a bit later in my writing career. And so this is the only form I'm familiar with. I didn't work in broadcast network, and I'm used to the 8-episode, 10-episode, 12-episode premium cable model that then, became the streaming model. It's a really satisfying way to do long form storytelling, because it's not 22 episodes where that's a marathon, right? You've got to come up with so much story and so much plot, and it will invariably become episodic. It has to. What's great about doing 10 episodes or 8 episodes or 12 episodes is you can really basically make a giant movie. And that's how we approach the storytelling. And that's what I think has resonated with viewers, and why the streamers were successful in that format is in every season, you're really telling one large engrossing miniseries. And that being the case, your season has a beginning and a middle and an end, and you can plot story and character growth and development over the course of 10 episodes. And it's kind of like writing a book, which is what I used to do before I was making television. Having a beginning and a middle and an end, but yet in something contained enough in 10 episodes where the end is in view when you're writing the beginning, really gives you a chance to weave together a lot of different character stories and story arcs that will all complement each other as you work your way from 1 to 10.
Sharon, another part that makes this so kind of unique and interesting is from what I've seen, I haven't seen like this part of like Chinese American history done this well at this level, with the details like the sets and decorations and the wardrobe, but also like the themes of like the history and the struggle. What was it like bringing together all those pieces when you guys were kind of conceptualizing what this was going to become?
I mean, we just have phenomenal department heads. We have phenomenal crew that make this world come to life. We were very fortunate to find Cape Town Studios in Cape Town, where we could build this phenomenal Chinatown set and really bring it to life. And a funny story is that, this is supposed to be San Francisco, and Justin Lin came to Cape Town and he was like, there's no hills. It's San Francisco. San Francisco's hilly. And so they had to build a hill in our Chinatown set, which is aptly named Justin Lin Hill. And and it's just like I just feel like, and I'm sure every show is this to everyone who works on it, but somehow there's a cohesiveness in our show amongst the labor of love that we all approach it with. And I think it really shows on screen. And I think the show looks so rich and vibrant and expansive, in a way that is beyond what we had to make it with. And I just think it's a testament to the skill and the heart of everyone involved.
Jonathan, when you guys were coming back to season 3 and you're coming back to these characters in this story, what was that process like for you and the other writers to build on and show something new, but to continue to build on these characters?
Yeah, it was a little daunting when we were pushing so hard for so long to be given this chance, that when we finally got the chance, I had this moment of, what if we can't find that again? Like, because when you go from season to season to season, it's just the ball is rolling, right? But our ball had stopped, and I was just nervous that when we got it rolling again, we wouldn't necessarily do it the same way. But the good news was that everyone came back, and a lot of the writers came back, and our room felt very much like it always had felt. And Evan and Josh took over as the showrunners, and they had been writers and producers on the shows for 2 seasons prior. So the old brain trust was back together, and it didn't take very long till it just started feeling like our show again. And then having our DP Michael Snyman back, having our fight coordinators back, having as much of the team back as we could, within a few days of being down in Cape Town, it felt like we had never left.
Shannon, you mentioned before kind of about, first of all, the respect for your father and his movies within the other creators of the show. How did you guys kind of create this balance of respect the influence of Bruce Lee on these movies, but also like adding to that legacy and kind of creating something totally new and unique?
Well, I don't think it was no small task, right? But I think we accomplished it beautifully. I think that we use so my father created the original treatment. We use that sort of as a North Star and sort of as like the sort of soul and tone of the show. But Jonathan and the writers created a whole beautiful, complex, rich world around that so expanded my father's vision, right? But central to it was just the feeling and the themes present there, and that continue to guide us as we make this show. And I think that one of the things that the show does so beautifully and so well is it resonates the energy of Bruce Lee. And of course we do our little Easter eggs and homages throughout the show to like make sure that signature is hiding within. But it really resonates the energy like so perfectly, while at the same time being its own unique story and project, right? And we never want anyone in the show to be imitating Bruce Lee. We just want to have the excitement and the enthusiasm and the dynamism woven throughout.
Jonathan, there's this huge, really passionate fan base behind this show that is so excited for season 3. And even like after reading, Evan and Josh were saying, like after reading the comments, they were so encouraged on the YouTube trailer. But like, what are some of the things that the fans can really be looking forward to in season 3?
I think we came back after such a long break with a tremendous desire to reward the fans for waiting, while also building on that fan base significantly. We're coming out on a much bigger platform now, on the Max platform. So we came in thinking bigger, and I think our storytelling is more ambitious. Our fights are next level. I mean, the fight action has really gone up a level. The scope of the show is bigger. I think we're true to everything that the show has been for 2 seasons, but we've just kind of turned it up to 11 now. And I think we all got very excited as we were cutting these episodes together. There are just these moments where that fans of the show are just going to get so excited.
Shannon, Jonathan, thank you so much, and best of luck moving
you.
forward.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.